Neighbor A drives a neon red sports car, wears clothes plastered with massive designer logos, and drops subtle flexes about how well his business is doing every chance he gets. Think classic Miami or LA energy, right? Then there's Neighbor B. He drives a 12-year-old VW Passat, wears a faded grey wool sweater, and loudly argues with the local baker over a 10-cent price hike on a spelt roll. Which one has a higher net worth? In the US, and honestly across most of the world, the answer feels obvious. Neighbor A is living large while Neighbor B is pinching pennies. But we're talking about Germany here. In Germany, there's a remarkably high chance Neighbor A is leveraged to the hilt, while Neighbor B owns 3 apartment complexes and funds his bread habit entirely through dividend payouts from his stock portfolio. Welcome to the land of stealth wealth, the art of disguising prosperity so thoroughly that it's almost impossible to distinguish from impending Chapter 11. Let's run a quick thought experiment. Imagine buying a loud, custom-tailored designer suit, slapping on a shiny gold watch, and walking into a bakery in a totally average German suburb at 8 a.m. The looks from other customers? A mix of deep suspicion and quiet concern. You'd be treated like a tax evader on the run, or a guy trying to pitch a sketchy MLM scheme. Now imagine going back the next day in a sweater full of holes and baggy sweatpants. Suddenly, you get a warm smile and a free seated roll. Just like that, you're socially safe and invisible again. So where does this collective urge to treat wealth like an embarrassing mistake on a resume come from? This isn't a trend invented by TikTok's quiet luxury aesthetic. Its roots go back 500 years. While there isn't just one single historical cause, German history gives us a very clear blueprint for why showing off is still treated like a social train wreck. Stop number 1, Wittenberg, 1517. It started with the Protestant work ethic. Diligence, self-discipline, and an austere approach to material goods were culturally valued far above ostentatious luxury. Being wealthy was totally fine, so long as your money stayed quiet and was reinvested as capital rather than glued to your facade like cheap bling. Stop number 2, Prussia, 1713. Under King Frederick William I, Prussian thrift and military discipline became the ultimate political flex. While the French court at Versailles was drowning in silk, wigs, and shameless extravagance, the Germans made moderation a civic duty. Showing off meant you weren't a patriot. Stop number 3, the Biedermeier era, starting in 1815. This is where the German middle class perfected a visual strategy that remains alive and well today. Drab on the outside, ultra high quality and cozy on the inside. Mehr sehen als Schein, more substance than style. This was the birth of the modern historic apartment resident, the guy carrying a canvas tote bag who happens to have a $4,000 espresso machine in his kitchen. This ethos reached its peak in the 20th century with Karl and Theo Albrecht, the founders of the global supermarket giant Aldi. 2 of the richest men on earth drove modest, mid-range cars, obsessed over extreme frugality in their daily lives, and practically lived in hiding. They became the ultimate poster boys for what you might call visual insolvency. Must be financed, or he's dealing drugs. That's not just a joke, it's a rigid social norm. In Germany, a conspicuous status symbol doesn't trigger admiration, it triggers an immediate burden of proof. French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu broke capital down into economic, cultural, and social forms. In Germany's educated and business elites, cultural capital carries way more flex than openly displayed cash. By the way, if you want to know why single pineapple was an outrageously expensive status symbol back in the 18th century, let me know in the comments and I'll make a dedicated video about it. Here, you don't flex by throwing money around, you flex by mastering the subtlety of understatement. There's a hard economic reality behind this too. A massive chunk of top-tier German wealth isn't held as liquid cash in checking accounts. It's tied up in private business assets, real estate, and equity in family-owned companies. Because these companies aren't publicly traded on stock exchanges, they stay completely off the public radar. So, who can actually afford stealth wealth? Because let's be honest, understatement itself is a form of privilege. Anyone can tell a bright red Ferrari is expensive. Visible luxury is easy to decode. Invisible luxury, on the other hand, requires a secret cultural password. The right boarding school, the right neighborhood, the absurdly expensive jacket with 0 logos. That's only recognized by people who know the code. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please do so completely under the radar. No noise, no big gestures. Just discreetly hit that red button and turn on the bell. Nobody in your neighborhood needs to know you're leveling up your cultural capital here. I appreciate your discretion. Hiding wealth has simply become a more expensive way to signal status. While visible logos are a status symbol for entry-level consumers, real status in elite circles is strictly no logo. Look at the hierarchy of invisible spending. First, education. Elite boarding schools like Schloss Salem costing over $55,000 a year per kid. No logos on the hoodie, but a priceless lifelong network. Second, hobbies. Equestrian sports, quietly eating up 5-figure annual budgets for stabling and care, with zero flex posts on Instagram. Third, mobility. Skipping the red sports car for a relaxed first-class train ticket on Deutsche Bahn while wearing a faded cardigan. Fourth, transit. The cargo bike, the literal suburban SUV of the German educated class, retailing for $12,000. Fifth, home. A custom carpenter-built kitchen for $50,000 that looks from the outside like a simple, unvarnished wooden shelf. All of this brings us to the ultimate visual paradox of German society. Germany is the only EU country where the majority of the population rents their home. So when you run into a guy in the stairwell of an old apartment building, taking out the trash in a baggy, stretched-out sweater, don't jump to conclusions and assume he's your fellow tenant. There's a very real chance he owns the entire block. That is the core mechanics of the system. Wealth doesn't vanish in Germany, it just goes incognito. From a fiery red Ferrari to a scratchy VW Passat. From a designer suit to a faded canvas tote bag from the local library. Visual insolvency is the ultimate German luxury. Because in this culture, real status means you don't have to show anyone what you've got. True power is the privilege of having nothing to prove. Nobody knows. And that's the whole point. Stay under the radar, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.